Hey there. So today we have another review. This is a beer from Widowmaker. Thank you to Jonathan, by the way, for sending this one in. Widowmaker is out of what I misshot. Braintree. Braintree. Um, Reminds me of that skit on SNL where they like name all the little towns in Massachusetts, like or Boston area, blah blah. Anyway, this is in collaboration with a big one, Vitamin C, out of Massachusetts, which is one of the hype hazy breweries out there. Like collaborating with everybody between two firms. Reference to the show. Uh, really nice art. It's like comic-y, with like the pipes and like, or not comic, it's like retro video games, right? Um, and this between two fermentations. This is a New England double IPA. It's got Mosaic Pacific Sunrise. It's like a hop that I've never heard of. And then Brew One. Brew One is a new one out of Yakima. Um, like hazy IPA kind of hop. Um, so anyway, this is canned 3 weeks ago. So let's try this one out. I think I for sure reviewed some of the beers from. Um, I've actually been sent beer from people at a review of Vitamin C. I had some bad beers, and Vitamin C actually sent me some beer. And then also, I've actually had Jonathan sent me some Widowmaker before. So I'm familiar with these breweries. That looks like a good beer. Very, very pale. Very murky, though. Very pale, kind of like straw to like gold color, but completely. I mean, yeah, you can see a little bit glowing light. It's just a really nice kind of like a hazy looking beer. I don't know what to tell you. Again, this glass is fantastic. It builds a nice, really nice head. Or the beer builds a really nice head. Like had a glass sort of help facilitate that. Pretty nice. I get a little bit of that chivy thing, that kind of dank mosaic kind of character. It's a nice light kind of like like dried apricot. Yeah, dried apricot. A little bit of like a peachiness, but almost like dried peaches, which I don't know if I've ever had dried peaches. Oh yeah, definitely pops with a good amount of less kind of like there's no citron here, but it has this kind of like juicy. I mean, it's always like a generic kind of like navel orange or orangey kind of like richness that I get from citron. There's also some exotic fruit in here. You get a little bit of like white grape, a little bit of like honeydew. It smells really good, honestly. Nothing crazy, but it's quite nice. I would have guessed this is also. I think that might be. It might actually be a Southern Hemisphere Australian slash uh, New Zealand hop. You can fact check me on the Pacific Sunrise, but it smells a bit thiol too, a little bit of that kind of white grape character. Mm. Okay, finally. Let me think. I've had out of the this is number five, the hazy IPAs that I believe is number five. The hazy IPAs that Johnson sent. This is the best one. Mm, finally. Yeah, the beer actually tastes great. That's very good. Nothing crazy, but very good. Um, oh, that's a beer. That's a beer. Wow. So let's just dissect this beer. First impression is drinkability. Up front, sweet, a little bit of like dish candy coming going on. It kind of like candy, lemon, um, candied like orange peel kind of comes in, which is really nice. It's got a really nice kind of the beer's not sweet. There's an impression of sweetness of citrus fruit. Quite tasty in here. Cinnamon fruit rise in, just like the aromatics, a little bit of that kind of dried apricot. A little bit now it's like fresher, it's less dry, and has a little bit of a juicy peach that rushes in. Almost getting a little bit of like red watermelon kind of character. Obviously, watermelon is red, but when you think, I always recommend if you think of fruits, I try to think of colors, right? Sometimes it's easier to sort of reach a color and a group of fruits and then expand upon it, right? So when I think red, I think like, oh, something. There's a category of fruits. Like at least that's how I think people's brains sort of activate. You sort of like reach for something, especially out of nature, especially fruit. And you sort of expect certain flavors that are coming from certain fruits that are certain colors, right? Like a purple grape is going to taste very different from a um, yellow lemon, right? These are just different colors. Your brain has associated those colors. So sometimes it's quicker to snap as a shortcut into colors and then they get more, right? Melon, so it tastes green too. It's like a little kind of green, kind of what is it? A honeydew kind of character, sweet honeydew. despite the impression of sweetness of citrus up front. And then the honeydew, it's really not that sweet of a beer. Um, they apparently use a ton of oats. There's like malted oats, this oat that. Uh, it's actually quite nice. Uh, from what I understand, the use of like different kinds of oats probably offers a little bit of complexity in malt versus if you just use it straight up, maybe just only unmalted wheat or sorry, unmalted oats. It would just have this really pale blank slate, kind of like think about like paler than white bread kind of thing. Like that's what I get from oats sometimes. Like like sometimes if you just are full malt beer, it tastes like malt, but then when you add the wheat and oats, it sort of like pulls back the intensity of the malt on the beer. Here, I don't actually get it that much. It has have this. What I'm saying, it doesn't have the oat cream thing. The malt profile is very neutral, but it doesn't have the oat cream thing. And I'm waiting more and get a little bit more push, maybe pushing past that honeydew and get a little bit of white grape character. Um, there's a nice kind of um, lack of hop burn, no chalkiness. There's actually a nice roundness that comes in quite nicely. So from what I'm tasting, probably they have a really nice kind of sodium profile in here, and then the chloride profile is quite nice to accentuate kind of the sweetness of the oats and the malt without like overriding. Um, I also want to say that they probably have a sufficient amount of sulfates on here because they're pushing enough amount of bitterness. The beer has a medium minus bitterness, but it's noticeable and it has a little bit of sharpness to it, sort of balance out the beer. Mm, boy, imagine like just reviewing like a handful of beers and just like having nothing that is like drinkable and enjoyable. This is finally there, and it makes you. It sort of like tricks the brain. I'm like, oh man, this needs like a killer rating. There's nothing that crazy about this beer. Despite collaborative vitamin C and stuff, this is a good, very good hazy, but like nothing super insane. Um, it's just sort of like if you make how about this? What's the movie? The McDonald's guy. Right, like McDonald's or your gajillion meals. If you ate McDonald's for 30 days in a row, or let's say 3 days in a row, and then finally ate something like that wasn't McDonald's that you actually wanted, imagine or like a really good fancy burger for like a great restaurant that costs like 18 $22, right? Like wow. Um, well, maybe not that because then that'd be like overboard. Maybe like if you only ate McDonald's for like 3 days in a row and then finally paid for like a decent burger that cost $15, like oh okay, right? Um, this is somewhere in that range. This beer for me gets a. I wish it popped a little bit more. I wish it had a little bit more juiciness to it, right? Like it's fruity, but like doesn't. Mm. And then there's not enough fat. It's an 8% beer. The beer ends up a little bit dry for me for hazy. But granted, you can do that with these beers, but whatever. The beer gets a solid 92. That is very good. Between two Ferms from Widowmaker, Vitamin C. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Cheers later.